Okay, I'm out exploring today. Yesterday it was a little cooler, but it's much windier today and warmer. So I went out to Lake Afton. And now I'm out east. I've been my last country road, dirt road riding fun. I was out west of where I live, and quite honestly, I haven't been out here this way on this road. I wanted to give a quick update on the build so far for this engine. This might just be a private drive. Oops. I'll turn around if it is. I don't want to trespass on anybody's property. But I was sent the wrong countershaft bearing. So that's holding me up a little bit. So I got with the business that sent me the... Well, this is not ACT. This is the company that I bought the rebuild kit and big bore and stroker and all that from. And so they... Ooh, that's promising, even though it's very not legal. Anyway. And they agreed to get me the correct one on the way. But they were telling me that it might not have the dust seal, because this is the stator side where the countershaft exit the cases, and it's pretty important to have a dust seal just to have one extra layer, because that seal does reach out to the side of the bike or the engine. And I wasn't very confident in what they were telling me. Well, this is where the road ends, apparently. Well, I don't want to trespass here. Anyway, I just, with caution, decided to get the OEM bearing on the way, even though they sent me, the one they sent me was too large also, so it's just entirely the wrong bearing. But, you know, when the weather's nice, I don't want to be inside working on my build anyway. I kind of got a head start on it just because the timing was right to make the purchases. I know, you know, this is early November. You know, November, what is this today? The 7th. And let's see, Thursday was my birthday, and I turned 40. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Oh well. Alright. So anyway, I went ahead and bought things because, and I apologize, the wind might get a little bit of an issue. This helmet, this motocross helmet's a little bit more open. So I'm going to speak up a little bit. Staying on track here. Availability of certain materials might be an issue. So I wanted to go ahead and get what I could get ordered, so that in case there was an issue of supply, I could beat that and still get parts for my build and be happy maybe. Let's see. Yeah, wow, it's real windy. Wind's probably blowing 20 to 25 miles an hour. maybe even more than that on the gusts. But it's really nice. I'm a little bit warm. Yesterday I was wearing my over-the-wrist, they're just a cycle gear, house brand built, but they're waterproof and they're lined. So my hands were pretty comfortable. I wore my windbreaker type warm-up pants over the top of my pants. My decent Levi's, that is. I'm gonna go down this way. Dead end. Well, I'm not gonna go down that way. The river is down there. I might go back by that way on my way home. Because one of these roads had a bridge that went across the river, but I think it either washed out or they tore it out because it was out of spec. But this is all in the area, we'll just say, where I grew up. It's a little, like I said, a little bit more east of where I grew up at this point. Wow, they're cutting their soybeans. So I want to make sure and stay out of their way. We had some moisture recently, so they were put on hold. As you can see, it's really flat out here. So make sure nobody's coming up on me. Some of these areas over here, it's wooded. You're like, oh, well, you know, maybe this would be a good place to cut a trail through and ride. But, you know, it's not being farmed for a reason. I want to go down this way and see what's going on. 110th. Okay, we'll check it out. Doesn't say dead end, so we'll get a little look. This is kind of nice because I haven't rode out this way. But this is definitely more flat than where I was riding west. Things get a little hillier, but you know, the river over the years, lots of years more than me, has moved around out here. It's kind of a nice little story here. I'm down, like I say, south of Wichita. We're in Kansas here. And there's the Arkansas or Arkansas River over in this area where the woodland is over there. That's the border of it. Well, up in northeast Kansas, there's the Missouri River, or Missouri River. And in the 1800s, they floated a lot of barges or steamboats down the Missouri, and they had carried a lot of cargo. And there's a museum. It's kind of a long story. There's a museum in that area called the Steamboat Arabia, Kansas City. And what it is there's some HVAC guys that were successful in business that knew how to get a few things done, that heard about the Steamboat Arabia and myth of it and it being still in the river, and they wanted to try to recover it. So one thing that the Corps engineers or the Army or the body of that was in power at the time, was in charge of navigation, so it'd probably be what the Corps Engineers is now. I'm sorry if the wind's bad again. They had detailed information about where that was, like actual survey, so you could pinpoint locate it where it is, and so that for their navigational purposes, because it took years and years, but eventually that steamboat Arabia got buried up in the silt, and as the channels changed of the river, it became an obstacle, and then not an obstacle, and then really not even a part of the river, which is amazing. But this steamboat, went backtracking here, it sunk in the river on a snag, which is basically a tree that got dislodged and ended up in the middle of the river, and it more or less harpooned the hull of it, and where it sunk, These guys, they located it, and I think they even used some mining technology, some radio waves, some echolocation, or whatever you want to call it, some technology to locate this thing, and they found it. But the thing is that they found it in a farm field. Don't quote me on this, but it is one of these two units of measure. I'm going to go this way. Either a quarter or a half a mile away from where the river is, which is just pretty impressive. And 30 feet down. So what that tells me is it got buried up in the mud and the muck and all that, and it also sunk, because you have subsurface water and all that happening. But as that happened, it happened relatively quickly, if you think about it, and preserved a lot of the materials on board and a lot of the wood of it, because you're immersed in water, you get pressure, etc. So these guys ended up getting permission from the landowner and started digging, and they actually found it. They found it, and they unearthed it and preserved a lot of the things out of the steamboat Arabia. And some of the things, they ruined it by unearthing it, but they found out how to maintain that preservation of the wood, for example, and some of the other things. There was just it was rotten. Like there were shoes, there were other articles of clothing. There were a lot of goods that were preserved. However, like the cotton and some of the things that bound it together, there's no way it could survive that time, and it rotted out. A lot of things fell apart, but they preserved them, they restored them, and they put them on display. There are some amazing things. There were some food preserves, which is insane, that survived. Again, pressure and time. And one of the things, and I can't believe it, one of the guys actually ate a pickle straight out of a jar as soon as they unearthed it out of the ground. It was amazing. And there's pictures of it if you ever go there. If you look it up, they might have an online availability of the story. I bought the book, and I've yet to read it, because basically you got the gist of it, so I might revisit that sometime. It's a really simple book. Treasure in a Cornfield, and it is a treasure, and so is a museum. That was back in the 1980s, late 1980s, I think, is when they preserved. They pulled it up, they unearthed it, and got all the material off of it, which is pretty amazing, you gotta say. So that just shows the power of water, and over, a few generations, we're talking about Civil War times, or pre-Civil War times, when this happened, when this thing sank. Again, don't quote me on this, it's been a while since I've been exposed to it, but it was like the 1850s. So this thing was it was submerged underwater and soil and subsurface water. Let's see. That's a private road, but I'm gonna excursion over there a little bit and then back. But I just want to see if I can get a view of the river here. Yeah, this is pretty obviously private. It's not very traveled, so I probably ought to stay off of it. But for up to that time, we want to say, in the 130 plus years at the time in which it was unearthed, and that's been, over 30 years ago that it's been done. And one of the things they did is they preserved some of the wood using some propylene glycol, I think is what it was, which took place of the water as it evaporated. Preserving the wood. This is pretty soft sand. Pretty obviously this water holds over here pretty bad. Because again, it's very flat, and this is irrigated ground out here, a lot of it, because the subsurface water just isn't very far down in this soil, so you can get your water rights and whatnot. That's done in acre feet. You get so many acre feet. Am I coming up on Highway 55? I might be. Might not be able to go across. It doesn't look like it. This road continues. That's kind of a bummer. Yeah, it's definitely a bummer. Darn it. Yeah, I might be able to sneak out here. I think I will. I don't have this street legal yet. See if I can go down this way and do some exploring. So yeah, go check out the Steamboat Arabia. Nowadays, with the damming of the rivers, make all these reservoirs and the different practices that we have to preserve some of the natural erosion of the rivers, to protect some roadways and property. The rivers don't move as much as they do, but what I'm going to be coming up on is the Nenaska River, which I think I talked about that in my other video. If I didn't, I was out by it. There's a lot of oxbows, areas where the river meandered around and ended up going straight across where it kind of oxbows around, and there's a lot of wetlands as a result of that, and some of it is farm wetland, very rich soils, a lot of nutrients had been brought in over the years, and a lot of it can be sandy. Sometimes that determines whether you're on the high side or the low side of the river. You're on the low side, there could be some areas where there's a lot of sand. see some wildlife out here. And of course, the Naniscau is it goes into the Arkansas, as I call it. Out here. Pay attention to my surroundings here. Yeah, so the Arkansas gets a lot bigger. So it is a source of water for the Cheney Reservoir by, well, I guess that would be northwest of Wichita. And of course, when they release from it, it's just like if we had a tremendous amount of rainfall, because there's just not a lot of drop to the land. Let me see if I can go down this way. Well, no, I'm going to go on down to see if I can meet up with the Naniscau out here. I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. So it can really flow a lot of water. A lot of the dams around here are just simple. If there gets to be over the floodplain, it just has a spillway. It just goes up and over, and they do plenty of erosion control to prevent it from washing out. But when it's full, and there's no holding back, again, because we just don't have the drop. We don't have the elevation to hold that water in areas like we'll just say the Hoover Dam. Let's see, which one is that one? Is that Lake Powell? Is that Lake Powell? There's two of them that are in series, that were built in and around the same time in the same style. Don't quote me on that, but they're way low now because of the amount of drought in that area. Hello. Always like it when people wave back. Hi. So this is our, I guess, waterways of South Central Kansas study, and U.S. geological study of and water. All right, I'm full of crap. Discussion today. The river's got to be just down here at this tree line. You can see how. Well, I can see from my perspective that there's noticeable drop. Okay, we got a T down here in the road. So that's kind of a bummer. I hope I can get down close to where the river's at. Street. Wow, I gone quite a ways south. Well, let's go this way and see if I can find something. think one of the goals is, I think I want to get to 80th, might be 70th, so I might have to go north a couple miles. With a little luck, I'll be able to cross Belle Plaine Road, or Dalton Road, as it might be referred to. I just want to stay off of the highway. I don't want to try to declare myself as a street legal vehicle. But that's coming. That's coming. I have a title to this, and Kansas is a pain in the butt, so I'm going to tag this South Dakota like I do with my Yamaha. So that's kind of exciting. I got a Tusk. I got a Tusk Enduro kit, so I got my turn signals and tag mountain surface where it'll have a light, brake light. This doesn't have a brake light on it that I'm aware, as it doesn't have the sensor for it, so I've got to get that figured out. Wow, this is nice down here. Okay, that goes to that person's house, so I'm going to stay away from that. And that's not really actually a road. It's just their driveway access, apparently. That's strange. If it's just a private road, why is it a yield sign? Maybe somebody kept blowing it and they wanted to teach them a lesson. This is going to be a long video. This might push my memory card or my battery to its limit, but at this point, screw it, you know? Strange, I saw a shiny object up in the sky. Okay, I'm gonna get out of these folks' way. Oh, there, mister. Oh. Make sure that I'm not going back into somebody's way. Okay. Oh, wow, another tractor rig. I think I'll just pull. Oh, he's going straight that way. Okay, I'll go through here. Wow, what an impressive rig. So let's see. Okay, so they're working the ground, and I think they just attached that to move it, but that looks like a fertilizer rig. Like they're prepping to plant something. It's really interesting, the different practices. They use a lot of chemicals out here, and I think I went into some of that last time. So where they would say harvest those soybeans over there, there'd be still the root structure and the stem, a lot of the stem. Of the plant, and basically what they'll do is they'll no-till. It's not really no-till. They have a slight rip that they put in the ground to make room for the seed, and it's at a set depth, and so they plant right into that stubble, if you will, but there's not really much stubble on soybeans. Okay. Well, let me see. I think I want to go over here. Just got to be cautious and aware of what I'm doing. And soybeans are a really good crop. But like I said, they're using so much chemical to keep the weeds down. Because it used to be, when I was growing up, they had all of these these cultivators, so your rows had to be a little wider, and you ran your tractor. You ran your tractor out there, and a lot of times it was an open cab tractor and a small one, and you just ran a really precise drilled, cultivating chisel, if you will, that was spaced just like what the rows were. So you would just go out there and knock all of the weeds down with it. Oh wow, this is a special bridge out here. That's cool. That's the Nanaskaw. Neat. And they would just knock down the weeds. You'd knock down the weeds, and you'd probably do that a time or two, maybe 3 times, I don't know. Probably just get away with it 2 times. Again, I'm not a full-on agronomist, but I know he'd make probably at least 2 trips out there, just like with this setup, they'd do 2 sprayings at least during the life cycle of the plants out here. And a lot of them have resistance now to what they spray on them, so they spray them right over the top. Roundup Ready, there's Dicamba Ready, which is a very evil herbicide, and then there's 2,4, I don't know if I think 2,4-D Ready was supposed to come out as well. I might not be able to go because this might be meeting up with the highway. We'll find out. Stand up for a little bit, like I probably should be doing anyway. Very definitely not my seat concept seat that I'm accustomed to. So basically, that process makes sure that your plants don't have a bunch of competition and are able to thrive, especially in times of low moisture. Like not all this ground. Well, it looks like it's irrigated. you don't want to be watering weeds either. Somebody has a little trail off into there. And this is, oh, that's to their house, looks like, possibly. Yep. Some of these soybeans out here are planted into wheat stubble. This is one of the higher volume wheat farming areas. Alright, I gotta try to get my bearings here. Counties in the state, so there's a lot of wheat farmed out here. But a lot of places are starting to branch off and do different crops. Like, you saw the cotton out there. We saw some just a few minutes ago. That's not, this area here is not where I wanted to go. When I do the engine swap on this, I'm going to put some foam on the top side of this skid plate. Wow, that's quite a farming operation there. Impressive. Because I'm getting a lot more noise reflection from the engine. It's not by any means loud, but you can tell I'm getting a lot of noise. And, you know, DRZ engines isn't exactly quiet anyway. Hey, doggies. They wanted to chase me. Where am I going? That's 50th. I'm almost certain I want to go to 70th. There's Belle Plaine. Just listening to my front tire. Okay, here's some erosion controlled devices out here along the waterway, and they're made out of concrete. So it just steps down, and the idea is it has a floor, and it's kind of like each one of them is like a mini spillway that keeps it from washing out and make a gully like this over here. 60th, huh? Yeah, I might run out of real estate here. If this just goes to this gentleman or this farm. Nope, it goes on north. I might not be far enough south. How much of a bummer would that be if there's a certain place I wanted to show you. Oh wow, it's nice down here. Oh wow, do we have a bridge over the river? That's cool. If it is. Or is it? Yeah, I wasn't far enough south. That's not even a bridge. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn around. Looks like somebody may be out here hunting. Okay, so this gives me an opportunity. So that dead ends at the river. That happens a lot. You can't have a bridge at every location here where the road intersects with it. That's just too expensive. I'm just exploring.